back to the Perfect Auntie podcast. I'm your host, Amalia Henry, and here we talk about identity, confidence, self trust, and what it takes to build a life of freedom you truly desire. A lot of what we've been talking about on this podcast comes back to one thing, and that is becoming the person who's capable of living the life that you say you want to live. And a part of that is preparing for the life before you have any sort of evidence that this is possible. Before the clients, before the opportunities, before the money, before the freedom that you've been asking for. Sometimes the hardest part isn't doing the actual work. It's doing the work when you feel discouraged, when you don't see any type of proof in your 3D reality. And before there's any guarantee that whatever you're doing will actually work. This episode is about preparing before you have any type of proof that things will actually work out. So let me tell you about my experience from last year. I'm pretty sure I've told this story multiple times, but you know what? It's my story. I'm gonna keep telling it. So last year, I hosted my first retreat in St. Martin, and 3 days before the retreat, not one soul signed up. Before I even get to, me doing the retreat and whatnot, let's go back. So I did the retreat in May of last year. So May 2025, right? I went to St. Martin in January of 2025. In 2024, I did promise myself that in 2025, I am going to go to St. Martin. I'm going to skip the winter. And I'm going to host my first retreat. I don't know how I'm going to make things happen, but that's what I'm going to do. Before I even went to St. Martin, I had two jobs actually. I was working the 9 to 5 and I had a little side thing. Honestly, I got comfortable. And in November, I was thinking, okay, so am I going to St. Martin? I don't know. Like, I was so comfortable. Right before my probation was about to end, they fired me. My 9 to 5, they fired me. So I'm like, oh, damn. I guess I had no excuse. I guess I am going to St. Martin because okay, what else am I gonna do? Like I'm not gonna go ahead and like find another job. Me getting fired was the push for me to actually go to St. Martin and do what it is that I said that I was going to do. I needed to do a lot of things. Like I needed to get a car, an apartment, another job. Unfortunately, I really didn't have that much money saved. When it came to the actual retreat, honestly, I had something else in my mind of how the retreat was actually going to do, like my target audience. I was kind of unclear on who my audience would have been. I was just really winging it, to be honest with you. Like, I knew I wanted to be about personal development and whatnot, but like, honestly, I was really just winging it. I knew, I was just trying. I was really just trying, right? So I did what it was that I could have done. I posted on social media, but really and truly, my audience is here in Halifax. I'm in St. Martin. Like I'm posting that like, you know what, I'm having this retreat. I don't see nobody, saying that okay, I'm going to book my ticket, come to this personal development retreat and whatnot. At that time, I also realized that at this point, the easiest way for me to actually get people would be the people in St. Martin, right? So like really and truly, that thought came to me like days before the retreat, to be quite honest with you. Like maybe the thought was actually in my mind, but like I never really acted on that thought until like time was rolling in like a week before. I'm like, bro, like, hello? I felt that I was fired. I didn't know how things were going to work out for me. to get an apartment, get a car, get a job. I got all of those things. So therefore, I came this far. Somewhere, somehow, this retreat is going to happen. I still did the planning and everything. I got the villa, without anybody even signing up. I got the food, the decorations and everything. Like I planned everything before I even had any type of proof that anybody was coming. Like honestly, like when I tell you I was real delusional, I was real delusional. But like at the same time, I don't know. My brain started working. My brain started working overtime. Like I'll definitely always go that spiritual route in, trusting self, trusting a higher power, trusting the universe, trusting God, whatever that is. I know that like, boy, I can't do it alone. There's something higher that is guiding me. And the fact that I went through all of this months later and this retreat is not going to happen because 3 days before the retreat, no one signed up. But I didn't care. I didn't care about that at all. I'm like, yo, one way or the next, baby, we're doing this. We're doing it. It's happening. So that was when I'm like, you know what? Let me go to businesses. Let me go to businesses and see what they're saying. Let me pitch it to them. That's what I did. And eventually that's how I got the clients for my retreat. I really wasn't doing any groundwork. I was really just focused on social media in order to get people to come. But boy, that wasn't working for me at all. So like I had to go in the field. I had to go out there and see who wanted to buy this service from me. You know what they say? It was social media, social media, social media. But sometimes, baby, it's just not social media alone. Sometimes it won't cut it, especially for the type of service or product that you have. Obviously social media is always going to be there. Social media will reach so many people and whatnot. But like at the time, baby, social media was not cutting it because I was posting, I was doing what I needed to do, but like, but it was fine. No, it was fine. Long and short of it is that sometimes it can be so discouraging. What you want isn't actually showing up. You have no proof of it showing up. For me, again, 3 days before the retreat, not a single person signed up. But I was still in the energy that, like, yo, baby, like, this has to work. I didn't come all this way for this not to work. Like, my original strategy, my marketing strategy, that wasn't working for shit. That wasn't working. But you know what? We tweaked a bit. We did something else. It worked out. Like, sometimes that's really all it takes. Doing something different. Seeing that, yo, this what I'm doing isn't really working out. Let me try something different. Keep on trying something different. Something will work. Something will work. It will land on the right eyes. As long as you keep on doing whatever comes to mind, trying different things to reach the audience that you want to reach. Sometimes when it comes to entrepreneurship, you will be disappointed. Sometimes you will be so uncertain and doubtful. Sometimes it doesn't always work out in the way that you thought it was going to work out. Sometimes you question yourself. But really and truly, all these emotions will come up, but it's just to say that you are human and things happen. As time goes by, you learn this, you get better, for next time. It is what it is. Like, it's really just a part of the process of, getting to that level of real success. My friend would say to me, fail fast, learn quick, or something like that. Fail fast, learn quick. Really and truly, the point is hurry up and make a mistake so you know what to do better next time. Point blank. When it came to the retreat, yes, the thoughts did come up like, boy, I don't know. I don't know where these people come from. Like, I really convinced myself that, yo, this about to work. This is about to work one way or the next. I did not just come here to let fear stop me right now. Just because, like, in my 3D reality, You're telling me nobody signed up? 3 days! 3 days! More than likely, like a lot of people would have probably given up by that point. I had the decision to either stop all the planning and just sit there and sulk and worry about, like me failing. Maybe I have 3 days. I have a few days. I have a few days. And it really was up to me. Like, am I going to not do the planning? Am I not going to continue to prepare? Because I believe in myself. I believe in my whole vision. Am I going to do that, or am I going to just stop? Right? So, like, think about this in business and in life. We wait for that validation before we start creating the processes, the systems, whatever needs to be created. We wait for that validation before we start to create. We wait for the audience before we start to become consistent. Just waiting for whatever confirmation before doing what you need to do. Like, we need to be in the energy that it's coming. It's coming. It's coming anyways. Like, that's you putting it out there. You already putting it out there in the universe for it to happen. Right? So, like, what makes more sense? You putting it out there and you actually doing what needs to be done before it actually comes, or, when the opportunity actually comes, that's when you're scrambling to make things work. That's when you're about to be overwhelmed, and the time you were taking to be stressed and anxious and feeling all these negative emotions that this thing is not going to work out. That's when you should have been preparing. That's when you should have been preparing. You should have been prepared for the moment that the opportunity comes in, baby. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Preparation isn't proof that it will work out, because obviously, like, you never know. Like, bro, this is life. This is life. But it's believing in yourself, believing in your vision, your product or service, believing in whatever it is that you want to bring to life. It's you preparing for when it actually happens. It's the decision to be ready so you don't have to get ready. What is it that you want? What could you be preparing for in this moment? The clients you haven't signed yet, the opportunity that's there, but you haven't gotten it just yet, the business you're still trying to build, the systems that needs to be in place. Or is it the version of your life that you can't necessarily prove that is actually coming? You have the vision, yeah, but there's not that full on evidence. Don't let the absence of evidence stop you from becoming ready for the exact thing that you're calling in. Put it out there. Put it out there in the universe that that is what I want. And you put it out there by actually preparing, doing the things even before you have any sort of evidence. Before we wrap up, I still have a couple spots remaining for my upcoming masterclass, Blueprint to Freedom. And if you don't know, Blueprint to Freedom is a virtual masterclass which will be held on Tuesday, August 11th at 6:30 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. It's about getting clear on exactly what freedom looks like for you. It's about identifying what's stopping you from actually living that life and creating a path forward instead of continuing to postpone the life that you actually want. We're getting clear, we're getting honest. We're not waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity. This actually is the perfect opportunity. So if you're ready to live that life of freedom, don't just listen to another episode about freedom. Like, come on, act. And let's start building your blueprint to freedom. The link is in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with a friend, give the podcast a review. Let me know. Let me know how I'm doing. Give me some ideas on what it is that you want me to talk about next. I'm your host, Amale Henry, and I will see you in the next one.